Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today is Friday, January 16th. Happy Friday, everyone. It is 6:27 right now. We got market opening up shortly in about 3 minutes. If you guys are looking to take the breakout, obviously here are the statistics for the breakout if you're doing the 80/20. Um, Probability is 55%. It's been kind of iffy lately, but I guess we'll see what happens here when market opens up. Let me check the calendar to see if there was news this morning. So not really. Today's a little bit of a slower day. We have NAHB Housing Market Index at 7 o'clock. That's about it. Other than that, no real high impact news for today. So before we get started, guys, just another reminder, I am registered as a professional trader, commodity trading advisor with the CFTC NFA. Futures trading involves substantial risk and is not suitable for all investors. You can lose more than your initial investment. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This stream is for informational and educational purposes only. Nothing shown here or discussed is a solicitation to buy or sell any futures contract or to participate in any trading program. I may hold positions in the markets as discussed, but my views may change based on the market conditions. If any hypothetical backtests are provided or appear during this stream, understand that they have significant limitations and do not represent actual trading. So with that being said, guys, we are ready to start our session. So market's going to open up in about 2 minutes, 6:28 right now. Depending on how this candle here closes, we'll see if we have breakout for a buy or breakout for a sell. It's looking like it's going to be for a sell, guys. So if you guys are looking to take that entry, it's possibly going to be for a sell. Let's take a look at our daily buys for today. So our daily bias is neutral to slightly bearish. So that's going to be in line with what we're looking for here. But yeah, we do have market opening up shortly in about 2 minutes. All right, so let's see who's here so far. Morning, Siege. Morning, Karen. Morning, Steven. Morning, Talanji. Talanji said there was a pre-market flicker right there. Morning, Ben. Morning, Lila. Morning, everybody. Morning, Paul. All right, so markets open up shortly in about 30 seconds, guys. The breakout for today is going to be a sell, it looks like. Um, there was some pre-market flicker right here with the buy signal that just came up around 627. But yeah, if you guys are looking to take the entry, it is going to be a sell. So we got that flickering momentum right there. We talked about this yesterday. It's a little tricky when you get the flickering momentum right before market open, right? So it's going to be a sell, but I mean, the movement might have happened already because of this huge candle at the moment. So just want to be a little cautious with that because, and there you go. It's exactly what we just talked about, right? So we did have, it was supposed to be a sell, but because we had that flickering momentum, like I said right here, you probably want to be careful about taking the entry because that movement that you were looking for is already happening, right? Like you wanted the sell to happen, but it was already happening the candle prior. So with that being the case, I mean, it probably wouldn't be your best interest to take the entry there for the breakout. It's probably something that you either would have skipped or you would have taken the opposite of what we were actually looking for, which is with the momentum. So I don't know who caught it. I don't think anybody else here caught it or anybody in general. I think most of you guys would have assumed that, it's not that good of an entry to take because of what was showing prior to open. So anyways, we got market open now. I'm going to be looking for two main entries here. I'll be looking for an algo entry or I'll be looking for a MPS entry. So one interesting thing that I saw yesterday, yeah, Talanji said, yeah, that last second flicker indicated a buy. Exactly. So thanks Talanji for catching that and identifying it. It was it's tricky when you get that flickering momentum right before market open. It's just it always messes with it with the movement. Okay, cool. Yeah, Steven said anyways, didn't take it today. Good decision on not taking that, Steven. So huge spike right here. I mean, this is big. It's almost a 200 point move here pre-market. So our first target entry for the algo is going to be at 643. Um, for the 60/30. We have a 637 entry coming up with the 40/60 or 40/20 coming up as well. So we'll be looking at those. One thing that I thought was a bit interesting. So some of you guys have been using the chat bot in the chat. One thing that so a lot he asked the chat bot about the MPS v3. I just realized that the MPS v3 is already a strategy. So I've been calling the variations the MPS that Daniel has created the MPS v3, but we actually already have an MPS v3 strategy. The thing is, I totally forgot about the strategy because it's been years since we applied it. Um, I did some testing and the MPS v3 is actually very, very good. So that's going to be something that I'll probably be looking at. I probably won't be t taking it because it's something that I haven't applied in so long, but I've been testing it and it's actually a really good strategy. So I'll show you it if it comes up. Um, it's basically an MPS pattern. So it's the same thing that we've been looking at, but it's an MPS pattern that it's just different entry point. So for example, usually we're looking for this type of pattern, right, for the MPS V2. Um, Same type of pattern, just different entry point. So if I see it here, I'll let you guys know. There is an MPS. Actually, no, there isn't. There's no MPS coming up right now. We do have structure here. I mean, this candle is too big, so I'm not going to mark up the entire body like we normally do, or the entire candle. So typically I'd mark up the entire candle, but if I did that, we'd just be covering this entire area right here. Yeah, Masij said, yeah, I saw that the bot got confused because of the recent data versus the old strategy. I chose to explain the old one. It chose to explain the old one because it has more data on it. I had to look into the reasoning of the model. Yeah, exactly, Masij. So like, here's an example of that strategy. It's actually coming up right now. So we have price pushing up right here in a bullish trend, right? So with price pushing up in a bullish trend right here, um, we're looking for buys here, of course, right? So for the MPS V3, if we have three red candles right here following up, once price pushes past this candle right here, so if we get a push back up, that would be an MPS V3, which would be right here. I actually tested it back and it works really well. So if anybody wants to follow through with it, I mean, you guys can take this old strategy. This strategy is actually, I didn't create this strategy. This is just, well, I created the strategy in variation to the MPS, but this is, it's considered, they call it three soldiers. So if you guys have ever heard of that strategy, it's a very classic strategy, price action. It's like pure price action, basically. Um, but yeah, basically what you're looking for, it's like a liquidity sweep. Or a liquidity push. It's like basically price pushing past liquidity. So what you're looking for with this price action pattern is you're looking for price to push down this way, and then you're looking for liquidity to sweep right back up. So it's a pure price action strategy. It's pretty much it's the same pattern that we're looking for, something like this. But instead of that, you're kind of not using the pivots and you're just using like pure price action for the most part. You're just looking for price to pull back and then shoot up. The pivots help because it show you, how far it's pulled back, but that's basically the pattern that you're kind of looking for. It's and question from Talanji, he was asking, is it based on the body close or the wick? So I don't remember exactly because like I said, it's been years, but for my testing, I've been using the body, not the wick. Yeah, Masij said either is fine. Because the price doesn't necessarily have to close past it, it has to close at it or past it. But yeah, it's a basic price action pattern. So for example, here now that price is dropping down lower, now you're looking for price to basically come back up and grab liquidity. Or not grab liquidity, but clear liquidity. It's like it's like filling the gap basically. So the reason why I do three candles is because it mimics a 3 minute candle. So you're thinking about like a big 3 minute candle. So it's the same thing as if you were applying it on the 3 minute, it's just on the 1 minute. So it's a little bit tighter. Yeah, Masij said I don't trust the wicks generally. Yeah, same here. I think it's for my testing. Sometimes the wick is too big, so like you'll have a huge wick up here, and price never re like it'll be too late before it reaches that point. But if you get it in from like down here, the body, it actually works pretty well. Yeah, kind of similar to that, Paul. Yeah, Paul said three black crows, three white soldiers. Exactly. They're getting shot down basically, right? So like you get three crows or whatever, and then it shoots it down, and then vice versa, you get three. But what you have to make sure is that the market's trending very heavily, right? So that's one thing that you have to pay attention to. That's the great thing about the MPS strategies is that they're all very similar. So like you can look at all of them at the same time. You don't necessarily have to like focus on just one. So you just look at the pattern, heavy trend, directional push, and then you just kind of ride it back in correction. So right now, see how the trend here is shifting? As it shifts, we could possibly start to look for it to move the other way. But I will let you guys know if I do see anything there. And we do have a pending sell momentum here which has been flickering for the past 4 minutes now, 5 minutes actually. Yeah, Masisha, the move is invalidated though. Closing below the lower low, and sell momentum's flashing. Exactly, yeah. So you have to be moving in the direction of momentum. I think that's the key thing. So the strategy, the three crows or the three white soldiers, that's the basic strategy. But the way that we're applying it with the MPS is that we're using it in conjunction with the momentum signal, right? So this should start to make sense to you guys now if you guys have been following for a little bit or for a long time. You'll see that everything is based around the momentum signal, right? Like literally every strategy that we apply is based off the momentum signal. That's always going to be the catalyst. That's why the algo is based off the momentum signal. Like if you think about it, the momentum signal is basically like every minute that we track on the algo, basically all the algo entries are going to be pretty much strategies that we're already applying. They're just with less requirements. But if you tie in the strategy with the algo and they line up on the same candle, we tend to hit for the most part, right? So just something to keep in mind, guys, for those of you who are following and watching and whatnot. It's just stuff to pay attention to just in case, because it's always helpful in a sense. All right, anyways, we have a new lower low right here. So with this being the case, I'm probably gonna go and restructure this. I'll have to wait for this lower low to actually close, but once it does close, I'll restructure this bottom, basically support level. Yeah, let's see. Masih said pivots are angled down, but not stacked yet. So bullish moves still could happen. Yeah, exactly. So they're moving down, but if price does swing back up, we can have that correction right back to the upside. So right now, I would say that the pivots here are indicating that we're in a neutral trend. It's not necessarily bullish or bearish at the moment. Um, the main thing that you want to focus on is really the red pivot, right? The level four. Because wherever these pivots move, the red pivot's going to follow. So if price swings back up, the red pivot will stay below it. Right now, the pivot's crossed over between a lot of these other ones. So there's no confirmation of direction or trend yet at the moment. The problem with using trend is that it's more of a lagging indicator in a sense, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys have understood that. Sometimes when you look at the trend, it's too late, or sometimes it's too early. It's really hard to gauge unless it's like super clear which direction the pivots are moving. So right now you can see a lot of these pivots are trying to move below the red one, right? If all these pivots move below it, then it's going to be in a bearish trend. We have a 637 entry, which came up right here for the 4020. Come down pretty hard. The 6030 entry, we have one coming up at 643. It's for a buy. So I don't think there's gonna be entry there, but we'll see. If we get a sell signal, I'll start looking for a sell MPS. Let's see, Dijon said I'm gonna start taking notes on that. So on days like this, if the momentum comes up seconds before market open, I'll take that in a specific direction. Yeah, exactly, Dijon. We actually used to apply the breakout like that. That's one of the criteria that we looked at a long time ago. There's so many criteria for the breakout because the thing is, it's so all over the place. So like, it kind of depends on like what's there at the time, right? So let's see. Varan said, do nothing and buy silver on dip. That's it. Yeah, I mean that's a good strategy. Dollar cost average into uh to the what is it called? To the safe haven assets, which would be gold, silver, Bitcoin sometimes, um, and USD JPY. Yeah, I don't disagree. That's a classic strategy when market is in chaos or when the world is in chaos. Obviously right now we don't know what's going on in the world because of the things going on with well, Venezuela's already done. It's kind of unheard of now. Nobody really talks about it. But what's going to be happening soon with Iran and Greenland and all that stuff. If the US continues its conquest for oil, then yeah, it creates a lot of uncertainty in the market. And yeah, if you want to put your money someplace safe, you would put it in a safe haven currency, which would be gold, silver, JPY, um, or USD JPY, and Bitcoin in a sense. I don't know where Bitcoin is right now, actually. Yeah, and Bitcoin is still sitting at 95. I'm not trying to knock Bitcoin, but I'm like, man, it's tricky right now where it's currently at. Yeah, this thing hasn't recovered yet. I mean, it's gonna recover eventually, but yeah, I was trying to see if it came up higher, if it stayed below, and it's still where it's at or where it's been. So we'll see. I mean, Bitcoin's one of those assets that's now it's trying to replace gold as a safe haven asset. So we'll see. Yeah, Talanji said, yeah, stocks have been flying this month. AI hasn't recovered yet. Crypto hasn't recovered either. Lost a lot last quarter. I know it's tough, right? Well, it's tough for people who are holding it. Luckily for me, I sold all of it right when it was at like three, or when it was at like 130 or somewhere around there. Wherever the high point was, I sold off all of my Bitcoin because I already knew something was going to happen or was going to drop. And I've been holding that Bitcoin for a long time. So it was about time for me to pull out. If it dips any lower, like to like 80 or even 60, I'll buy some more. I'll just rebuy it and then just hold on to it for a while. There was an MPS V2 right here, guys, or there was an MPS entry, but there was a lower low right here. So that's why I decided not to get into that. I know some of you guys are probably looking for that MPS. So again, this is why my criteria for the lower low, it's important, right? Because in a situation like this, you would have prevented getting in a loss here. Because I've seen this pattern happen. Like if there's a lower low right there, it's really tricky and it's likely to reverse back up or push back up, whatever it may be. So I'm gonna go and I'm just going to shift this over. The entry for 643 is a no entry. I'm gonna go over here and mark it up. Man, the algo has been very, very anticlimactic, guys, for this month. I was really hoping this was gonna be that breakthrough month for like, okay, we're gonna kick off January, we're gonna have some algo entries. There's only been one entry this whole month, well, one target entry at least. There's been other entries, but for target entry wise, there's only been one, which I don't know, man. It is yeah, it is not exactly what I was looking for, hoping for. For the year so far, the algo entry is actually still it's working and it's hitting, but for the target entries, not so much. Um, I'll show you guys criteria for it in a few, or I'll show you guys my spreadsheet to show you what I mean by that. Because if you were taking every entry which came up, Yeah, there's still entries there. They're just not target entries that I'm personally looking for because I'm looking for something quality. The problem is that like I don't even have very strict criteria. I'm looking for like one entry that lines up with what we're looking for, but it just doesn't come up. Um, but anyways, yeah, Andrew said I put all my money into the Iranian rial to keep it safe. Yeah, just in case, right? We'll see. Um, Messi said it was long. I was long on Bitcoin since it was at 50K, sold at 110, got out a bit early, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a long hold. I was holding mine from like I think 60 or 70. Messi, I was holding it from like 2014. Like when I was in law school, my roommate was from Canada, so he paid me rent for our apartment in Bitcoin. So I just had a bunch of Bitcoin just kind of sitting there. And I forgot about it until like 2019. And I was like, oh shit, I got like almost 100K in like Bitcoin. It jumped from like, I think 40,000. So like, yeah, it basically more than doubled. And and then I held on to it. And then Bitcoin came back down and I held on to it until like 2020. And I was like, well, shit, I should have pulled out when it was like at 120 or whatever, or 100. And then I held on to it until last year and then it was at 120. So I was like, I'm done. I gotta offset all of my Bitcoin. So I made pretty decent profit. I think in total I ended up at like 100,000 or something like that. So I mean it was a good hold, but holding it for that long, if you guys think about it, that's more than 10 years of just holding an asset that you don't know where it's going to go. And I ended up just selling it off. I mean, a lot of that money went into the hedge fund anyways. I mean, it's the capital just got reallocated into the hedge fund. So it's not like it isn't doing anything, but the Bitcoin did kind of help start up a little bit. Nice. So looks like Masish has turned on the chat bot. Daniel said we used to have about 20K Bitcoin to party during 2020, 2012. I know, right? That's crazy. It's crazy back then. Like I was even skeptical to get Bitcoin as payment a long time ago because I didn't know what was going to happen with Bitcoin. I was just holding it. I thought it was going to be one of those assets that just doesn't move, right? That just kind of sits there. And then all of a sudden, like between 2014 and 2000, it was really between 2017 and 2019 where it really started to blow up. So I was holding it for like maybe 3 or 4 years and then it just shot up and I was like, oh, wow. Like, so it just like, I got lucky basically. Um, and back then, like nobody really knew much about Bitcoin. And now it's at, I mean, if you guys look at the history of Bitcoin, it's crazy how much it's fluctuated, right? If you look at Bitcoin here, we'll go on we'll say like the monthly. Yeah. So right here in 2024 is where I was getting it. And then you guys can see obviously the big spike or 2014. We don't have data for it here, but yeah, basically, why isn't there data for it right here? Or no, it's 2017, sorry. So yeah, anyways, I got paid, I was getting it right here. 2017. This was like my last year in like law school. So like 2017 right here. I was getting in pretty or not, it was this for some reason this doesn't look right. I don't think it was this low. Yeah, I don't think this data here is right. But anyways, yeah, back to what I was saying. Anyways, I got in at this low point and then I sold off like last year because it started kind of tumble around. This is where I was like, damn, I should have sold off because it pushed up right here to like 65 and then it came down. I was like, man, I should have sold off because I ended up coming back to where I started and then it really climbed up here and then I sold off at the end of the year last year, like around 120. That's where I sold off. I didn't hold it to like 126. 120, I was like, all right, I had enough. And then I pulled out of it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy asset. All right, guys, still no entry here right now. So I'm gonna keep following as we go. We don't have any MPS entries. So we have an MPS, like a traditional MPS setting up right here. But like I said earlier, we have the structure here, which is kind of screws up our position a little bit. So if you guys are taking the regular MPS V2, it's currently running right now. We had a sell signal right here, retracement continuation, and it's coming down right there as we speak. This doesn't meet the criteria for what I was looking for specifically, so obviously I'm not in it. Yeah, for me, I want to see a higher high up here. I'm just going to draw a structure here. Um, I mean, the structure is kind of messy, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep this here, but I'm going to draw structure throughout here, and I'm going to leave it up. So any of these higher highs that come up, I'm going to leave structure up here so that you can kind of see where price is moving through, moving to and moving through. All right, so a little bit of some messiness here. The MPS hits full TP right there, guys, for those of you who decided to get into it or to look at it. I think for this chart here, I'm gonna mark up structure at the wicks instead of like the whole body because it's so messy. It's just yeah, there's just too much to cover here. But yeah, basically full TP right there for the MPS. Looks like Talanji caught that one. So there's or no, sorry, Masij caught it. So sell signal right here, retracement confirmation. This is the MPS V2, just traditional MPS V2, no none of the extra criteria. So full TP on that. Nice work, Masij, on catching that there. So we do have a heavy trend here. So as we continue to follow through, I'll be looking for confluences and whatnot for price to continue pushing that direction. I'm going to go over here to the 40/20. I'm just going to confirm a couple of things. I think the 637 lost. 637 for a sell. Actually, no, this was a no entry. No entry. 638 for a sell. No entry. 644 for a buy. No entry. Okay, so I'm looking over here at the algo entries. It's just a bunch of no entries for right now because none of the criteria line up. Nice. So Sam over here caught the full TP sweep, and he also caught the MPS V2. Nice work, Sam. One other thing that I would like to look at here would probably be the 3 minute, right? Yeah, let me see if I can just make another chart. I'll probably keep a separate chart open with just a 3 minute. Do I have a 3 minute chart? I'll just do this. I'll make a copy of this one. Because that's another thing. Like the 3 minute is a really good time frame. You know, we did the statistics on the 3 minute. It's actually pretty good when it comes down to to the entry, if and when it happens. All right, so this is a 3 minute time frame. There was an MPS V2 which came up. It was actually a perfect entry. If you look over here, guys, so there's a sell signal, retracement, confirmation. This caught the entire drop right there. So there's this couple of different variations. You know, we talked about this. So this is actually really is an amazing trade right there. There was the MPS, which happened right here on the 1 minute, which we had sell signal retracement confirmation, and then it aligned with the 3 minute over here perfectly, right? A sell signal retracement confirmation on this one, and it came straight down. So if you have confluences where the 3 minute and the 1 minute line up like that, odds of it hitting are very likely. So obviously, like I mentioned, I'm going to be shifting basically between MPS, like all the different MPS styles, right? MPSV regular, MPSV2, MPSV3, and then the algo entries, of course. That's the good thing with the MPS is that there's so many different variations to it that you'll find an entry. It just kind of depends on what you're looking for. So we'll keep following here though. Nice. Lunges a TP on the momentum scalp breakout plus SR zone breakout. Got 6R. Done trading for Friday. Nice. Let's see. I might have to test your your webhook too to see. I'm curious to see how it actually executes and stuff like that. Because it's nice to just have it running, and then once you reach your target, you're kind of just done for the day. Anyways, I was gonna ask you a question about that too, Masij. We'll probably hold it for a little later, but I was trying to see because I was just testing some of the strategies out. I think there was one of these that I was like, I just kept getting an error. I don't know if I was doing this for the zone master, yeah. I think I was looking at the zone breakout, and for some reason, here, let's see. I'll just leave it at this. I think this one might be bugged. Yeah, because nothing comes up here. I was trying to look at the data to see if like there was something wrong. But yeah, I think this one might be bugged if you want to check it out. It's the SR Zone Master. I was going through each strategy to kind of see what if there was any issues. There's a couple of them that are bugged, but I'll take note of it and I'll let you know. Because I can't explain it to everybody until I understand it. So we'll try to get all this stuff figured out and fixed before we get to that point. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Masish. All right, so with that being said, let's see what we've got here. Let's go back to the main chart. Okay, so we don't have anything here yet. Again, like I said, the MPS already came through on that sell signal, MPS V2 right here, um, on the 1 minute and 3 minute. I'm still looking for my regular or I got to figure out another name for Daniel's MPS. I'll just keep calling it MPS for all of them in general. We're still looking for the same pattern. So, like for example, if you're looking for an MPS, whether it be a V1, V2, V3, V4, whatever it may be, we're still looking for this pattern, right, for a sell. So this pattern is just the MPS will have different entries. It's either you're going to enter on the pullback, you're going to enter on the continuation, you're going to enter on the confirmation. There's just within this area right here, you're going to have different MPS entries, right? If you're doing the MPS V1, you're going to look for price to pull back. You're going to try to get in at this top point. If you're doing MPS V2, you're going to try to get in at this lower point. If you're doing MPS V3, you're going to get in even lower. It just depends on like how deep of a confirmation you're looking for, right? The MPS V1, you're gonna get the earliest entry. You're probably gonna get the basically the exact sweep style. It's a sweep style strategy. So for example, here, price push down, we had a green candle right there. Your entry would have happened at the whole number, right? At 610, which there's no entry. And then price over here again is pushing up. So this pushed up to 543, your entry would happen after the 50, which should be right here. So, like I said, these MPS strategies, they're all going to be very similar in a sense. It just depends on which one you're looking to apply. Like this is an MPS V2, this is an MPS V1, and then the MPS V3 is even later. So MPS here, I'll let me draw this up real quick. So we're looking for a pattern like this. This will be the just regular MPS V1. And then the MPSV2 would happen somewhere down here. And then the MPSV3 would happen down here because you're looking for price to break past the structure or whatever it may be. So you guys see how like it's very similar. Like if you're looking for an MPS strategy, it just did it at different times. It's like if you want to get in right away, you're going to get in at the very top for MPS V1. This is a risk because if you get in at the very top, this could continue pushing up, right? It doesn't necessarily have to continue down. So this is why we made three different versions of MPS V1, V2, V3. MPS V1, you get in at the earliest time, but you might be a little too early. MPS V2, you get it in the between. This is why we stick to the MPS V2 mostly. In PSV3, you wait for the confirmation. So like basically you look for price to push down. If you're getting in on the retracement, that'd be the MPSV1. If you're looking for the confirmation back down, it's the MPSV2. And then if you're looking to get in like all the way where there's full confirmation, it'd be the MPSV3. That's why they're in degrees. So yeah, if you guys understand that, this will make sense to you. That's why I just call it MPS because it doesn't really matter. It's the same strategy. It's just you're either getting in early at medium point in time or you're getting in late. They all have pros and cons, right? You get in early, you get stopped out if it continues to reverse. You get in at the middle point, you could get stopped out here because price can go into a chop. You can get in late, but if you get in late, the movement has probably already happened because you already missed like this whole, you know, the whole drop right there already. So just keep that in mind, guys. I'll just continue to call it MPS V2 or MPS entry. For Daniel's criteria, I don't know what to call it yet. I don't know if I'm even if I'm even gonna call it the MPS, or I mean, I guess we could call it like an MPS V4. But really, the MPS, the Daniels variation to it is very similar to the V2. It's just a variation to it. Yeah, Rev said, "Oh, it helps to see it like that." Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's not a complicated strategy. It's basic. It's like pure price action in a sense. But then we're using the trend as a confluence. So for example, here you're looking for this movement, but you're looking for it with the trend. This is why it's kind of tricky to apply Daniel's criteria because it doesn't use the trend. So yeah, it just uses, price structure. That's why I don't know if it should be called an MPS. Might have to call it something else. Yeah. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay, the next target entry is coming up at 7:20, so we have like 20 minutes until then. Other than that, I'm looking for the MPS V3 to kind of set up over here somewhere. I'm looking for the three green candles, which you don't have yet. Um, where I'm looking for retracement and then continuation back down. So we had the first movement right here, right? There's the first movement. Now I'm looking for it to happen again. Nick said, yeah, it could be PSV1. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, price structure. It could be. Yeah, no, that's actually good input. Thanks, Nick, for that. I'll keep that in mind when we're thinking about what to call it. I want to keep it simple. So I'm glad that you came up with something simple like that because it removes the confusion, right? Same with the MPS. The MPS just stands for momentum pullback scalp. So like looking at this here, we have momentum to the downside, it pulls back up, and you scalp on the continuation. So just trying to keep it as simple as possible, avoid any confusion. So PSV1, it's a straightforward name. Talanji said, I'm sure somebody's taking the A++. Yeah, did someone get into that? CJ got it. Nice. CJ got in and out for 40 points. Awesome. So there's a lot of different criteria here. So like we had the MPS V2 setting up. This also aligned with a high-low scalp, right? Price broken close past the structure right there. So you could have also entered right here. So like I said before, guys, a lot of these strategies, they align together. That's why like with Messi, she's able to catch a lot of these entries because they stack up on top of each other, right? You just need to pick one of them. So they basically stacked up right there a whole bunch. We had a high-low scalp right here. We had an MPS V1, MPS V2, MPS V3 is now setting up as we speak. So again, right here, we have a possible MPS V3, which is setting up. We have three green candles. So what I'm looking for here is if we have a continuation back down. I know we have a green momentum signal, but if we have a sell signal which comes back down and closes below here, this could be an MPS V3. So you guys will see what I mean about it being late because it doesn't happen right away. This movement happens a little later. And then we have this lower low structure right here as well. Let me go over here. I'm going to go and update my markups. So we have a new lower low down here. I'm just going to, all right, cool. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm marking up the floor and I'm marking up the ceiling. This is currently the floor for today and this is the ceiling for today, right? This is the New York session high. This is the New York session low for today specifically. I know we have the high-low sessions up here. This is from yesterday though. These are from today. Yeah, no, definitely, Nick. Likewise with you. Have you been on here for a while? I haven't seen you in a while. I'm assuming you're either quiet or you're just doing other stuff. Yeah, we saw a couple other people here yesterday. Like Rav was here yesterday. I think he rejoined the group. So yeah, a lot of old faces here. So it's good to see you, Nick. I know you've kind of been on and off, trading, not trading, back and forth. We have a couple Nicks here, so you're one of the originals with the other Nick. Yeah, if you guys know Nick, he's on the other stream right now. He's most of you guys know Nick from back then, from our FX days. All right, so I'm going to move this up. So this continues to move up higher. And as it does, I'm going to push this up right here. So we still have that criteria there. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for price to continue back down. If price pushes past the, well, it already pushed past the pivots, it pretty much invalidates it. You're no longer looking for this continuation to the downside. You're actually going to look for it the other way. We have an MPS actually setting up the other way. So like, for example, or the PS that we just talked about, this would be Daniel's strategy. The problem with this here is that we have a sessions right there, right? There's a sessions right there, so it's going to be considered red flag. Yeah, Talanji said 720 looking tricky already. CJ is asking Canadian Nick or other Nick. I think it's the other Nick. I don't think that this Nick is not from Canada. He's from, I think you're from California, right, Nick? From like Redwood or something like that, somewhere up north. Or it might be Canada Nick, honestly. There's so many Nicks here that have come and go over the years. Um, I might be wrong. I know you live in the woods though. Yeah. Nick lives it's kind of nice being out in the woods. You don't really have to deal with anything. It's got to deal with the wilderness. Oregon. Okay, there we are. Yeah, so Oregon, yes. Basically northern, like yeah, Nick's from Oregon. I remember Nick showed me the like a backyard pic of his like yard. It's like straight woods, which is cool. It's kind of nice being secluded. I mean, especially if you're not, if you're a trader, it's kind of cool to kind of be around or away from everything. Gives you the ability to focus on things like this. Let's see. Sam said skipping the MPS here if it comes, waiting for a later setup, a cleaner one. Yeah, I would wait for it. It doesn't look like this is going to be a clean setup, so not anything I'd be looking to get into. We also have the sessions right here, so not exactly one that I'm looking to jump into from there either. But yeah, the MPSV2 is setting up right here, guys. So if there's anybody who's looking to get into this position, it is setting up. The thing that you want to be very cautious about is that there's a sessions right there, which is a red flag, right? So you have to be careful because if price pushes up, it can easily come down and reject off your sessions, which is a little too close for me, a little too close to comfort. So not one that I'm looking to get into. Let's see. Masij said, I'm from Boulder Creek on the way south from SF to Santa Cruz, if any of you know. I'm not familiar with it, but I'm sure I've driven past it when I drive to the Bay Area. Yeah, my wife went to Berkeley, so we've been to the Bay Area quite a bit. Yeah, it's a nice little area. I mean that nice long stretch of like nothing for the most part. It's nothing but it's something because you can still get to the city, like it's not that far. All right, guys, I'm gonna step away for 1 second. I'm gonna grab some water. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. I'm gonna keep analyzing right here. There's nothing to take right now. Like I said, this MPSV2 would have been skipped because there's a sessions right there. But like I mentioned earlier as well, there's a possible entry here for MPSV3. So see how price is coming back down. If this here closes below here, this could be an MPSV3 setup. But I'm gonna step away for 1 second. All right, guys, I'm back. Let's see. Yeah, Sam said dodged a bullet. Yeah, no, you did, 100%. Okay, so I'm still looking for my entry over here. There's a possible opportunity coming up in a bit for the algo if the entry comes up. So the thing is, we have a bunch of flickering momentum here, which is not a good sign for the algo entry, because the entry's at 720. So if we get some flickering momentum on the next candle, 717, that's 3 minutes before our entry, right? If that's the case, then obviously there's gonna be no entry there for the for the algo. So we'll wait and see where this ends up going. Again, like I said earlier, if you're looking to take the MPSV3, the setup is going to come up here, but you would need to have a sell signal which breaks and close past this area, or the signal would have to happen before it. Obviously, you can see here price is starting to chop up quite a bit. So there's just, I don't know if there's going to be an entry here. We'll see, but and there we go. We had that flickering momentum at 717. So unfortunately, this is considered a flickering momentum, no entry. I'm just putting that in my spreadsheet. Let me go over to the 40/20s. Let me see if there's anything here that came up that we might have missed. 702, it was for a buy. So 702, the buy here actually played out pretty nice, but there was no momentum there. So unfortunately, just a no entry. 703, I think there was flickering momentums there, no? No? Okay, so that's probably a loss for 703. 709 was a sell. No entry. 712. Oh, okay. So, or actually, let me check. 712, there was a flickering momentum. So that's actually a flickering momentum. No entry. So another save there, 712. Basically just documenting all the trades here, even if I didn't take them or if they were a loss or if they're a win, I'm just documenting them so that um we have statistics on this. Okay, anyways, I will show you guys a spreadsheet in a few. There's just a bunch of no entries. There's only one entry on the 40/20 which came up at 703. It wasn't a good one. It was like right here. Like price started kind of shifting up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, there's not really too much here to work with, guys. Unfortunately, this is kind of where price is now sitting. Um, yeah, it's really just kind of sitting. There's another MPS here. So what I'm kind of curious, and I need to look at it, Masij, is your way of doing the yeah, is the way of you're doing the your criteria for the session. So like I'm looking at it right here. The entry for the MPS actually would have happened down here, I think. Or I might be wrong. I don't know. Because actually, no, there would be no MPS here. I just realized that there's no trend. Yeah, never mind. I take that back, Masij. I was just mentioning that, like, the way that you have your yeah, there's no trend here for the buy. Yeah, I was mentioning is like how your criteria for the MPS. I'm not sure if you fixed it, what we talked about, but with the MPS, so before, if you guys were using the script that Masij created, there's an option there to avoid trades when it's near the session. So what would happen here is if price was pushing up and there's a sessions right there, it would skip this entry because it was too close. But as it pulled back right here, there was another opportunity down here, so it would have possibly gotten in from here. This is if there was a trend here. So, I mean, using Massage's criteria there, I mean, it's actually pretty good in a sense. It's good in a sense that it like makes sense. Yeah. So I might look at that criteria moving forward, but we'll uh we'll see. But yeah, I don't have any questions for Masij. If you guys have any questions for Masij, I mean, feel free to hop in or you guys can message on the Discord. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else here at the moment. Did you end up making profits on your chop bot today, Masij? I know you're running it. I was curious because right here it looks like it. Okay, nice. Yeah, so with the chop bot, if you guys can identify that like price starts to chop up, then that'd be a good time to like, implement it, of course. Solid. All right, solid profits right there, Ashish. All right, guys, 720. This trade's currently running right now, it looks like. If anybody is in it or looking to get into it, there was flickering momentum earlier, so there's just no entry for me specifically because there's a flickering momentum right there between 717 and 720. Yeah, Masij said it was off automatically most of the time, made mo most of its money in the past 10 minutes. That makes sense. I need to run the chop out and just leave it on. What I've noticed, or not what I've noticed, but like for me personally, I don't know if there's anything wrong with my settings, but it never seems to turn back on. Like not when it shuts off, but when it's like just waiting. I haven't seen it turn back on. Maybe it's just I'm not using it during certain times, but okay, gotcha. Yeah, so you're gonna have a new version next week. Makes sense. Yeah, Messi is using one contract per trade, so it's pretty solid. I need to get another laptop again, or I need to get some sort of virtual server, some VPS to just run the chop bot, because I can't do it when I have all of these other accounts linked to it. It's just too hard to shift between accounts unless I just run it on one account, of course, which is also possible. All right, I'm not in this position right here, guys. Clean that up. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do, Message. I'm gonna get parallels, um, to just let it run in the background. All right, Message, have a good weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday. All right, guys, we have a possible sell momentum here. This sell momentum has been flickering for about 10 momentum signals now. So since 7:12, it's been flickering, which is right here. I'm gonna turn this or move this over a little bit. All right, so for the algo today, guys, unfortunately, no entries at all. 721 would have been a flickering momentum, no entry, or just no entry at all in general. We have one last algo entry, which is at 725. It's for a buy. So it might be coming up right now. All right. So there's a possible buy entry coming up right here for the MPSV2. Oh, sorry. No. There's a possible entry coming up right here for the algo for the 4020. If anybody's looking to get into it, it's going to close. It's going to be a flickering momentum though, so I don't know because there's a flickering momentum at 723. This is within the 3-minute criteria. I wonder if this was, well, I'm pretty sure this wasn't the case before, but I feel like this at the start of this year, we've been getting a lot of flickering momentums. I don't know what's the case, but that's just what it feels like and what it seems like. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but I feel like last year we didn't really have a lot of flickering momentums. I know it was a criteria that we started implementing a little later in the year, but I don't remember there being this much flickering momentums. Like this shows you that there's so much uncertainty with regard to, momentum swings. I mean, and it's obvious here, right? It's been choppy for like the past like 10, 20 minutes. So it makes sense why we have these pending momentums here, these flickering momentums. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't. But it's just annoying in a sense because, like, if you look back, like, there's a lot of directional move here. You're not going to see a lot of flickering momentum between like 6:30 to 7. But then once you hit 7 o'clock, you guys can see there's a ton of flickering momentum here. There's a couple flickering momentums here earlier, but those are just actual momentum shifts. Right here, it's just a bunch of flickering back and forth. So the entry right here just came up for the 625. I'm not in this position, guys. Again, if you guys wanted to take it, it's currently running, but it's not one that I'm in myself. It's a 4020 MPSV2 in a choppy back and forth movement here. It's currently at this lower support level though, so this could push up. I mean, possibly, if it bounces from here. And if it just continues to range within this area. Strong possibility. Yeah, if it continues to chop within this area right here, then yeah, it can and probably could push up, but I don't really like trading the chop like this, right? All the strategies we apply are based off momentum and trend. This here doesn't really give me confidence in like there being a directional move. Yeah, Justice said, I agree. This feels completely different market than October to November. Yeah, it's very choppy, which is good for the chop out, of course, but not good for other stuff. Yeah, so the chop out Messi just lets it run. It is bugged right now, so if you guys have the older version, you have to watch it because it either it leaves a ghost position or it ends up not restarting. You have to restart it yourself. So if you're using the chop out, I would say just be careful with it because there are bugs in that one. That's why Messi is taking it down. So we're gonna be waiting for the new one to be uploaded over this weekend. All right. Edit. Next error. Ninja Trader just disconnected. Okay, so it is 7:28 right now, guys. I'm still looking for opportunities for entry here for an MPS or a PS, I guess. Um, MPS or PS, whatever may be the case. There's nothing here yet. Going over the entries for today. So let's see, there's an MPS V2 which came up, and we'll use this chart over here. So sell signal, retracement, confirmation, loss right there for MPS. Or no, actually. Yeah. I mean, this candle is so small, I don't think this would have been taking it. No, actually, it didn't actually close below it. So there's no MPS right there. Um, Nothing for buy, of course. Price came up, retraced, came back down. This was a normal MPS V2. This right here did hit for full TP. And I think that's it. There's just one MPS V2 entry which came up right here. There's an MPS V2, and then this over here was an MPS V1. So two entries for the day. I'm still looking for my PS or I mean, even the MPS V3, which hasn't came up yet. Technically, this structure here could still be used. So we talked about this earlier. You know, we had the three white soldiers right here, or three black crows. This would be the three white soldiers because they're bullish. So you have the three white soldiers here, and price is attempting to push past it, right? But you can see over here that price didn't really have luck pushing past it, and now it's just chopping up. So I don't know if this is something you would personally want to look at, but if you do, I just want to keep following it here just in case. I probably won't get in for that specific entry, but if we do have an MPS V2, V3 that shows up around this area, possibly look for that. But yeah, again, if you see this here close, this is going to be an example of the previous MPS V3 because we do have the retracement right there. But you would need to have a strong sell signal break through this area. You can see price is not really having much luck breaking out anywhere up or the bottom. So I wouldn't hold your breath on this position. Not at all. But the algo is for the most part done with. And we do have a signal over here. So that sell signal finally closed. You guys can see we've had the sell signal pending for the past 20 minutes or so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. About 15 minutes or 15 flickering momentums until it finally closed and it's still invalid. Sam said quite a few fair value gap MPS buy here. Okay, so we'll see that. Looking at market structure, let's see. Market structure is a bit mixed. We have bearish on the 1, bullish on the 5, bearish on the 15, neutral on the 30 minutes to 1 hour, and then 4 hours bullish. So it's a little mixed across the board. I'm not in this position right here. I just want to take that off. I don't want you guys to think I'm in anything there. Um, but yeah, so I'll show you guys the statistics for the, I mean, it's not going to be anything because there's a bunch of no entries here. Literally just all no entries for the most part. And I'll show you why I'm still not shifting to the 40/20, at least not for the algo. Um, okay, so here, let me just show you guys my spreadsheet real quick for the algo. Man, this has been like a really slow start to the year. I haven't really taken much. I've been looking for these MPS entries, but there hasn't been any for me. Okay, so looking at this right here, guys, this is Friday, January 16th. You can see there's like no entries here for the 40/20. There was one that came up right here at 7:03. It was a loss. This is just trades that are being documented, but you can see here that for the 40/20, it's not really consistent, right? It was a negative 1 R today, negative R the other day. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, regardless, there just hasn't been anything there for the most part. Keep updating this a little further. Yeah, what I wanted to show you guys here is that this is why I haven't gone back to the 40/20 yet, because it's not consistent. Like there's some days where it has like high negative R, and then there's some days where it has high positive R, right? Like on Wednesday, it had or not Wednesday. On certain days, it'll have like a negative 5 R, negative 2 R, positive 2 R, negative 2 R, positive 4 R. It's not consistent. Like what we want to see is you want to see a consistency in profit, which we're just not getting that right now. So for the 40/20, it's a lot of back and forth, mostly negative R, but on the 60/30, it's just been nothing. It's been a lot of no entries, a lot of flickering momentum. So there just hasn't been our ability to take these trades. So these are our statistics for the day. Nothing here, of course. And that's just how it's moving right now. All right, so look at this intro here, guys. So the MPSV3 that I mentioned, it did exactly what I just told you guys, right? So I said sell signal, look for it to break and close past this line right here, right? Which is the three candles. And this right here would have been the MPSV3 entry. I was tempted to get into this position because I've been looking at it, but I haven't studied it enough to actually to actually get into it. I just did some testing. I mean, it worked really well recently, but I haven't tested it enough to really trust it yet. So I'm still gonna look for an MPS though, a regular MPS, which I don't know if it'll come up. It's already 7:35 right now. We have a new lower low here coming up, so with that being the case, I don't know if there's gonna be an opportunity here. I'll keep looking and I'll try to get into it, but with this being the case, I'm not really expecting much here to happen. Just an FYI. Paul said, Sean, I like these improved strategies better. The breakout is unpredictable and will not take it anymore. I mean, you see why, right? You see why I don't take the breakout anymore? The breakout is good when it's good, but when it's not good, it's very, very unpredictable. That's why for me, um, when times are good with the breakout, it's great. But in a time like this where there's a lot of unpredictable spikes, the breakout becomes more of a menace than than a strategy that you want to take. Um, so again, I think we're going to revolve a lot of our entries around the MPS realm of strategies because there's just a lot of opportunities there. Um, yeah, there's a lot of opportunities there. The thing with this right here, so I would have maybe have taken this entry if we had a valid sell signal. I think that's probably the main thing that was kind of throwing me off on this here was that I don't like taking invalid momentum, right? It's invalid because there's a sell momentum indicating that momentum shifting down, but it's a green candle within it. So it doesn't really give me confidence that this momentum here was actually strong enough to hold. And we are breaking out of this chop right here. So that's another reason why I've been like, okay, maybe I don't want to take this trade. But you guys can see right here that the criteria is still lined up. So yeah, I mean this is what we would call or consider an MPS V3 in a sense. We have a downwards trend, price pulled back, retraced, continuation to the downside. This is the confirmation right here where it broke off that structured part, and then it continued to drop lower from there. So, all right, nice. Let's see. Samson, man, again, three back-to-back wins. Nice work, Sam. And you've been applying the MPS for like quite some time, huh, Sam? So like with you too as well, I think that is even more reason for us to stick within the MPS realm if we're looking for actual directional strategies or directional entries. You can also factor in like pivot scalps and high-low scalps and triple confluences and A++ or V1 variations, stuff like that. But for the most part, yeah, Sam said 7 months of MPS at least. I know. I think ever since you joined us, right, you've been doing MPS and it's been great for you. So, Sam is like a good example of like just sticking to like a main thing for the most part. Yeah, PC said, hey man, the best confluence for the MPS was a breakout of the inverse fair value gap. 653 fair value gap was key level here. Yeah, no, I could see that. So 653 over here. Yeah, so it broke past the inverse fair value gap right there. And then that was a nice confirmation for it to come down lower. All right. So like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna have an MPS here coming up anytime soon because of the invalid momentum. Yeah, the invalid momentum right there. If this was a valid momentum, I would continue looking for entries, but because it's not, it makes it a lot more tricky with regard to identifying, whether the momentum is going to hold or not. I mean, we've been pretty bearish for the day though, so let's see if that 10-minute came up here. I don't know if Joshua's on here right now, but okay. So, Elad, you are here right now. I'm going to explain to you the this is the strategy that I was telling you about yesterday. So, if you guys remember the daily strategy, right? We applied this during COVID. I don't know if this year would have played out because this candle's so big. No, it's still playing out. So, for this strategy right here, this is the strategy that we applied during COVID because the volatility was so high. Josh here he's been using this for the past couple months. I've kind of tested it a little bit and it worked well this month and last month, but it wasn't working so well previous months, like basically September up until October. But the way that the strategy would work is you'd basically be looking for the first 10-minute momentum signal between 6:30 and 8. And right here we had a sell signal. So the entry would have happened right here. The stop loss were for me, I would do 100 to 200. It's a big move. It's supposed to be more of a day trade type move. And with this being the case, this is the entry that's currently running. So if this is something that you guys want to hold on to, this is more of a day trade that you'll hold on to until like basically the end of the session. My cutoff time is like about 12:30. So if the trade doesn't hit by 12:30, I would have just manually closed it out. But what you're doing here is you're just waiting for the first momentum signal after 6:30, which is going to be right here. This right here would be the sell signal, and then you would enter on the close of that candle. So at the close of the candle happened right there. The trade is currently running. This is a really big move. It's a 200-point move. Um, but yeah, this here would have to be, I mean, you'd hold on to this position for a while because it's a 200-point move. 200 points usually doesn't happen very often within the given time period. So this would probably run for like a couple hours. If you guys remember the strategy was something that we applied. We used to do 100 100. So like if you wanted to do one-to-one risk reward, that could work. You'd probably hit your target faster, but for my testing, the 1 to 200 actually works better. It takes longer to hit, but it does hit. And this is better because if you have any losses, you could recoup it pretty quickly, doing a 1 to 2. So this would be the 10-minute daily strategy. Basically, after 6:30, you look for the first momentum signal on the 10-minute. You enter on the close of that signal, you write it down for about 200 points. Stop loss at 100. It's basically a set and forget type strategy on the higher time frames. So, with that being the case, let's continue following here. There's nothing to take yet, unfortunately. I want to take something here if I could, but I just don't see anything. Yeah, it's long. You said a lot of 10-minute snipes too. Yeah, I agree. A lot of 10-minute snipes kind of showing up. Let's see. Rev said I usually watch the candle on open for a few seconds before I take the trade on open. Been hitting 50 points, about 75%. Yeah, you have to make a small. I feel like for the breakouts, you have to like really understand the news releases and you have to really understand the price action because it's really random, right? Like we were expecting price to come down. Price did come down eventually. It came up to basically stop out the sellers initially, basically wiped them out, and then it came down to what we were expecting, right? Because if you look at our statistics or you look at our results, or not even just results, but looking at the daily buys for today, it was, you know, neutral to slightly bearish. So we already knew that this was going to come down based on the fundamentals. It was just a matter of time until it did. So yeah, just something to keep in mind there. And then also looking at this, price kind of broke past the structure right here. Yeah, this actually be a really smooth move here. Price to come down. 20. So I'm looking at this right here. I'm looking at the MPS V3. This is two candles, but it still did the same criteria that we talked about earlier with it kind of coming down heavily. So kind of same pattern. I need to move this little thing. I wish there was a way to drag it. Let's put this on the top. There we go. All right, we'll see what happens here. Set 7:44 right now. As we get closer to the end of the session, volatility is going to start to get slower. I'll keep watching for, you know, opportunities for entry, but I just don't see anything here right now. I'm going to adjust this lower low because this is now going to be the floor. Man, I was really hoping I'd be able to get one entry for today. I was hoping because if I have one win for this for today, I could recoup my loss from Monday, but it's okay if I don't get anything, which I probably won't. We're getting too close to 8 o'clock. Yeah, CJ said I do 150 to 75. It usually plays out if the momentum comes up before 7:30. Yeah, that's probably the best. I mean, there's different ways of doing it. Like CJ has a smaller target, smaller stop loss, and it probably hits a lot earlier, especially if it happens before 7:30, because the volatility is still pretty high. But yeah, it's good to get refreshed with a lot of these older strategies, guys. Again, like I mentioned before, I'm going to be sticking around the MPS realm. I mean, there's other types of entries that you can take, like you can still take the MP, like V1 variations and stuff like that. But you want to stick within the realm of strategy. So, for example, here, you guys don't have this tool yet. I'm still testing this before we share with you guys. But like basically, this is the K2 or the Cody Kai pivots master file, and it pretty much gives all the strategies that align with that are aligning with each other. So pivot scalp, intraday, swing, and PSV2. These are all using the trend and using momentum. If you're looking for reversal type strategies, it would be the zone strategies right here, or the breakout strategies. And then there's other ones here, the reversal master file, which has V3, V1, momentum pullback, etc. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to test these out. But yeah, so basically, if I was looking to trade mean reversion, then I would trade the the V1 variation, V2 variation, V3 variation, MPS. Well, this is like the very original momentum pullback scalp. Not short for MPS, but this is the momentum pullback scalp. I'm kind of curious now to see what the statistics look like for this. So Let me see if I could turn this on. Yeah, because if we're in a mean reverting market right now, which we kind of are, I'm curious to see what the stats look like for this one. Because we have the stats for a lot of these strategies now. This is actually really good. So I'm looking over here at this. This is the momentum pullback scalp. This is a different type of strategy. It's not the regular MPS. It's one of these right here. So for example, if we get a buy signal right here, what we would typically do is put a pending limit order just hanging out right here, and then it would just fill it as it came down, and then it would just go down further. So it'd be like this, and then the entry would happen right there. Stop would happen at the swing high, and then you basically go for a 1 to 2 or a 1 to 1 in a sense, but you can do 1 to 2. Looking at this right here, the default stop loss is 300 to 100. But this is pretty good. This is a year of data right here, 365 days. It has a 1.44 profit factor. That's actually really good. There's a huge drawdown period right here. But for the most part, overall, the strategy is very profitable. So if you guys haven't seen this before, I mean, if you guys have been around for a while, you know what strategy this is because this is one of our main strategies way, way, way back in the day. If you guys were here like 8, 10 years ago, you probably remember this. This isn't the MPSV2. I know it's called the momentum pullback scalp, but it's not the one that you guys are probably thinking of. Um, Here, let me see if I could show you guys. There's still no entries here, so it wouldn't really matter. But anyways, for this, the original momentum pullback scalp strategy, for this one, basically you'd have a pending order just hanging out right here, right? So we have a buy signal here. When this buy signal is confirmed the retracement, you just have a pending limit order just hanging out right there. And then whenever price comes down here, it fills it and it goes straight into profit. This used to be one of the main strategies because we applied the pivot scalp and we applied the momentum pullback scalp. And basically you were able to take the same trade, but you'd be able to set a pending order there. If you want to look at this strategy, it's in the course. Like you got to go pretty far back. I don't even have the course here open, but this was the original momentum pullback scalp before the MPS was even thought of. Um, so again, same thing with this right here. We have a buy signal, right? So the trend is bearish. We have a buy signal. Your limit order would be hanging out right there at the bottom. As soon as it comes down to fill, it's just an automatic fill and it goes back in the direction of the trend. This is actually a really good strategy that I haven't looked at the strategy in years. This is why it's good that Masij has created basically what Masij did is he went through all of my strategies that I have over the years and he automated them. So we have all of these different scripts down here. Basically, each tool has a list of all the strategies that align with it. And that's how Masij has made, I think he's made over 20,000 in the past 2 weeks because what he's doing is he automated all my strategies. So basically all the strategies that are on the course, it just automatically executes on his account. He just, whenever the entry comes up, it doesn't matter if it's whatever the strategy may be. It could be a mean reversion strategy. It could be a directional strategy. It could be a breakout strategy. If it lines up, he's pretty much automated everything. So he'll have a goal for the day. If he wants to make, I think his goal is to make, I think, a couple thousand per day. And this is all done off a live account, like a real account, not a prop account, because you probably won't be able to do this with a prop account because there's so many trades that become executed. And the ATR and the TP stop losses are going to be very different. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad he did this because this gives us it gives us insight to my strategies, right? I've been trading live with you guys for about I think 10 years now, and we've been applying the same strategy for years. The thing is, we never had the data to show that my strategies were actually profitable. It was just you watching me trade live. But now that we have the backtesting scripts for these, it shows that all the strategies are actually very profitable. And then Masij he's the example because he's automated these strategies. So every day, he just takes all the entries on his account. And for the past 2 weeks, he's up like 20,000 or whatever. So like what I was mentioning was if you want to apply something, if you want to trade mean reversion, just stick to all the mean reversion strategies and take whatever comes up. For me, I'm doing trend trading. So I'm sticking to the pivots, right? or I'm sticking to the MPS realm of trades. So like MPS V2, pivot scalp, etc. Which still have good criteria. So if I'm updating my criteria here right now as it loads up. And as long as the profit factor is above 1.3, it's typically going to be profitable. If the profit factor is above like 1.5, that's really good. And anything above like 1.6 is going to be even better. So like right here, this is a little tricky because it's just a little different. Like you can see here, there's like a lot of down period. And this is why it's important that you have you're able to shift. Like right now it's working really well because we're in a trending market. But over here, we were probably in a mean reversion market. So at this point, it's probably better to take uh, the reversals. So I'm a little curious because right here, let's see, between January 24th to basically summer. So basically last year up until summer, I'm wondering if the mean reversion entries were actually working better. I'm gonna re-upload the mean reversion. I'm gonna see how the equity curve looked here earlier in the year. There's still no entries right now, so don't worry if you guys are looking for something. I mean, obviously, I was trying to find something here before we got off the live, but there's nothing here to take. Um, all right, still updating the report. Okay, so here again, you can see, yeah, this is pretty clear, right? So like looking from the year over here from January up until summer, the mean reverting strategies were actually better. So all of the reversal strategies worked really well at the beginning of the year last year, and then it starts to die out in September, right? So September here, it starts to die out because the market regime changes. And then if we go back to, let's just go back to our directional entries. I think what I'll do here is I'll just have, um, I think I'll do this. Let me make a copy. I think this is going to make more sense. So I'll just put this as directional. And then I'm going to make another one that says mean reversion. So we can have the data there and we can see what strategies are working better during certain time periods, right? Mean reversion or reversal, it doesn't matter what you want to call it, same thing. Okay, so looking at this, I'm just going to have the pivots on and we'll do a year. And then for this one, I'll have the mean reversion because there's really just two different strategies to apply, right? It's either going to be a mean reversion or it's going to be directional or choppy. This helps because instead of having, and it's better to just have this up, I'll just have the statistics up right here. We don't really care about the chart very much. And I'll just have this at moderate 1.2. And I'll just have this, it's already at moderate. Okay. Let's see, Daniel said the MPS just hit. Which MPS were you in? Daniel, let's see. Oh, yeah, you took it for the buy, right? Yeah. So we had the lower low right here, buy signal, price retrace confirmed right there. Yeah, I mean, that was a close entry though, huh? So looks like I missed my entry again, unfortunately. Yeah. It's all good. It was getting late into the session. I don't like trading this late into the session. Usually after once it hits like if it hits like 7:45, that's my cue to not take any more trades because the volatility starts to die down. But nice work right here, Daniel, on catching that. This is what I was actually looking for. Let me go over here real quick and let me just look at the entry. I'm just gonna analyze it to see if there's anything here that I missed. Um, yeah, so looking at this here. Yeah, this was actually a clean entry, Daniel. See, this is why I need to automate it too. For Masish, he has it all automated, so he doesn't have to really look at it. He just turns it on and turns it off when he wants to. But yeah, looking at this here, this is a for the most part a pretty clean entry because we have a lower low right here. We have the buy signal. There's no higher highs around this area, kind of blocking the entry from working out, and it pushed straight up to its target. So nice work, Daniel, on catching it. Looks like it did draw down a little bit here, but it did push right through and reach its target. So nice work on catching that. There goes the entry I was trying to get today. Unfortunately, I'm not getting it. It's a little frustrating because it happened so late, and that was like one of the entry that basically the only entry I was looking for. But I think now that we kind of have an idea of like what we're looking for, I think we're in a better place now because I'm not going to be like I kind of have a focus now. It's really going to be the MPS V2 or the or not MPS V2, any MPS or the algo entry. Let's see questions. Let me go over here real quick. Nice. CJ caught the MPS V2. He held it for 60 points. Nice work. iPhone's asking, what's the difference between MPS V2 and MPS? Uh, so MPS V2, basically what you're looking for is you're looking for the trend and you're looking for price to push down, retrace it, and continuation lower. So let me just clean this up a little bit. This is an example of an MPS right here. We have a sell signal, price retraces, and then it pushes down. Once it pushes past the momentum signal right here, this would be an MPS V2. You're just looking for this type of pattern. That's an MPS V2. An MPS is where you place a pending order at the hold number. So for example, here, see how price is pushing down and it pushed up? At this point right here, the pending order would have been waiting at, because this candle closed at 49,604, your entry would be waiting at 49,610. Because it didn't fill right there, you just keep following it. Price pushed down and it retraced again right here, right on this green candle. So retrace right here at 49,543, your entry would be waiting at 49,550, which would be right here. So that's the main difference. With MPS, you're looking for price to pull back to a whole number. And for MPS V2, you're looking for the continuation. So if I gave you this pattern right here, the regular MPS would have happened right here, but the MPS V2 would have happened right here because you're waiting for the confirmation. So MPS, you have a limit order just waiting for price to reach the whole number and come back down. You typically will get the ceiling like this right here. And then MPS V2, you're looking at the continuation. So basically market order for MPS V2, limit order or pending order for MPS. They both have their pros and cons. Sometimes this will get in a little too early. You'll get stopped out because it keeps turning the other way. Sometimes with the MPS V2, you might get in a little too late and then it might retrace back and screw and hit you. So if you apply all three, so for example, if you're looking for MPS V2 or MPS V2 or MPS V3, one of them is going to hit. So that's something to keep in mind, right? If you're doing a like say a 1 to 3 risk to reward, if you take all three here, or you try to take all three, one of them is going to work like most of the time. They're not always going to happen that way, but one of them is going to work because you have three different opportunities to get into the trade, right? Let me just put this back up. So you have basically three opportunities to get in. So this is another thing. If you want to just take your chances and take all three, you can. Like the MPS, if you get in too early right here and say price kind of pushes it further and it stops you out, then that's fine because you get stopped out on that position. But then you have another opportunity for MPS V2 if it comes back down. So say for example, this stops you out because it pushes out too far. This stops you out because it chops you up and down. But this one over here is the last confirmation. If you get into this last one, then if you're doing a 1 to 3, or even a 1 to 2. If you're doing a 1 to 2, you'll be able to break even. But if you're doing a 1 to 3, you'll be able to take two losses there. But the third one would bring you back to break even plus profit. So this is why I'm sticking within the MPS realm because it gives me different choices of where I want to enter. So, Rev is asking, is there somewhere we can download requirements for each strategy? Your best option is probably to just ask the bot. Rev, you can just ask the bot here. Like for example, you'll just go to the chat and then you'll say something like, "What are the requirements for the MPS strategy?" It might not be completely correct. Yeah, see, it might not be completely correct because I don't think the bot has all of the data. So, and the problem is the strategies are so similar that it's actually telling you MPS, it's thinking you're asking about MPS v2. So, the other way you can do it is you can go into the strategy videos and just rewatch the video and take the criteria from that specific video, Rev. Let me see if I could pull it up for you. But for the most part, that's probably your best option because that's how Masija learned the strategies too. Like he created all these tools from just watching the videos. He didn't actually ask me anything. I didn't give him any requirements or anything like that. All he did was he went through the course and then he ended up just download. He watched the videos and then created the criteria through those videos. So here's the course over here. If you're looking for the original MPS, you have to go down further below because the more recent strategies are going to be up here. We have the MPS V2, micro scalp, momentum reversal. If you're looking for the original MPS, it's actually right here. It's in module 5.1. So you would click on that and then you would just watch the video. You don't even have to watch the whole video. You can just fast forward to where the requirements are. If you want to go back to the older strategies, you just go scroll down further. See, like these over here will have the V1 variation, the breakout, V3 continuation. And if you go back even further, there's even more videos down here. Triple confluence, pivot scalp, high-low scalp, V1, V2, V3 variation, snipe strategy, etc. Yeah, I have thousands of videos on here. If you guys, I mean, it's a lot. Like that's not an understatement. I have like thousands of videos on here because whenever I learn something or I have something that I'm applying, I just re-upload it on here. And there's a ton of videos on the course. If you guys want access to this to like learn my strategies and use them yourself, if you're on the YouTube, just scroll down. If you're on the Discord and you still need access to it, you probably should have access to it. But if you don't, just let me know and I can post the link somewhere. Yeah, I can post a link somewhere for you guys. All right, let's see. Daniel said, one thing I noticed with my specific entry, the confirmation candle can't push all the way through the pivots. It needs room. If the entry is already through the pivots, usually it doesn't have power to push another 40 points. Example is 7-11. Gotcha. Yeah, because it pushed up too far and it was overextended, right? Yeah, so that's what I've noticed too. Like if you're taking the entry, you want to take it within the pivots. Within the pivots is probably going to be your best option because it's likely to reverse or like pull back or go in the direction where it needs to go. But if it pushes past it, it's usually exhausted at that point. So yeah, I agree with you on that for sure. iPhone is asking, have you tried using MPS V2 and MPS on the higher time frames? Yes, I have a long time ago. I just don't have the patience to wait for those entries because a lot of times they don't come up. The highest I'll go for the MPS or MPS V2 is a 3 minute because I'm still trying to get my entries in before 8 o'clock, right? If you're trading the 5 minute, you'll go like maybe hours without a momentum signal. So for example, let me go to the 5 minute right now. Yeah, like I mean today there's momentum signals, but sometimes you'll go like hours and hours and hours, or not that long, but the entry just wouldn't come up between 6:30 and 8. The 5 is actually okay. The 15 is a little too far out. This is yeah. So here's an example, right? You don't get a momentum signal for like a good hour, a good couple hours. Like this last momentum signal was last night, and then you're getting another one right here. But the strategy still works the same way. I used to do the 15 when I used to trade Forex because it would take forever, right? Forex doesn't move very fast. Um, But yeah, if you wanted to look at the strategy here, so let's look at an example for an MPS. See how we have a buy signal right here, price pushed back for retracement. See how we retraced here to 628. If you did the original MPS, you would just use whole numbers. So instead of using the tens, you use like maybe the 50s. So 628, your entry would happen at 600. Same strategy. It's just and then you'd probably use like a 50 to 100. So this is an example of it. It still works. It's just bigger moves and longer wait time. So like same thing again right here. And then same thing again right here. So yes, the strategies work on all the different time frames. I just don't have the patience to trade on the higher time frames like that. It's just it takes way too long, and I don't want to be on the charts all day. Rev said, okay, I'll do that. I noticed you pulling up a list on TradingView. Yeah, so those lists of strategies that I have on here, Rev, are the ones that I created a long time ago. I don't know if they're accurate or not because I these have been up for years. Like I've started to make these notes, but I had like you'll see there's a couple different variations here, right? Like there's like names that are similar, but they're not always the same. So I have to go through and clean this up. I've been trying to clean this up for like years now, but I just never got around to it because there's too many strategies for me to look at. Um, but yeah, these are all the ones that I created over time. Like if you wanted to see the MPSV2, I probably created this, or is it Momentum Pullback Scalp? See, like I have these criterias here, but looking at the way that I've worded these criterias, I think I created this list and the color of the background. So you see how the background's black? I know I created this like maybe 5 years ago because I don't use a black background anymore, right? I always use a white background when I'm writing stuff up, right? I always use a white background now. So for the past couple of years, I've been using a white background. If it's in black, I know I this is from years ago, years and years and years ago. Uh, I mean, the criteria is still good, but yeah, I guess if you want to screenshot this, you could, Rev. But see, these things over here, this is where it kind of changes a little bit. Like, this is when I used to take a 100-point target. We're obviously not taking 100-point targets anymore, right? So, yeah, I think this was around COVID time or prior to COVID when the volatility was extremely high. So, the requirements would be the same. Your TP stop loss would be different because we're just in a different type of market. Yeah, yeah. So that's what I mean. That's why I wouldn't base anything off my old notes because we don't know how old this note is. I should probably put a date. I think whenever I put a new strategy up, I'm going to put a date next to it so that I know when I created this note. I wish they had dates on them here, but I remember I created this when TradingView was like really like they should have dates here, but yeah, it's something I'll recommend to them. I started putting dates like here in 2024. I started putting dates right here, but I'm probably gonna have to put that for every note that I put up, so I know exactly when I created them. Oh, perfect. Yeah, CJ said I take notes with dates, and that is from 2023, Sean. Okay, no, it's good to know. Yeah, because the thing is, the strategies get revised over the years, right? Sometimes we have our original requirements, and we identify ways to improve it and do things better, so they change over time. So thanks, CJ. Yeah, that specific note there was from 2023, so that's about 3 years ago, which isn't super old, but it's an updated version of like what we were doing at the time. Nice, CJ. So I'm looking at CJ's entries for the day over here. CJ had, let's see, 10-minute algo entry for 1040. Huge win right there. The second one was a high-low momentum for 4020. And then this one over here was MPSV2, which aligned with the 5-minute algo. Nice. Are you doing all the algo entries by hand, CJ? Or are you using the extension? Because that's crazy how you have a lot of them on there. You have well, I mean, you've been looking at the 10, you've been looking at the 5, and looking at the 1, or do you not even look at the 1 anymore? Maybe that's something I got to do. I should have a list so I can see if they line up with certain entries. Okay, let me scroll up real quick. Let's see. CJ said for anyone looking for the original MPS strat and the levels, watch the video from October 5th, 2023. Perfect. Yeah, thanks for the input on that, CJ. CJ said the 5 minutes looking okay with momentum signals, but the 15 minutes too long for me. Yeah, 15 minutes way too long. I think 3 to 5 is like the longest I'll go. Anything above that just takes way too long. They'll just never have an entry. Lila said, hi, Roshan. I've noticed between 11 and 11:20 every day, there's also always a large buy. Can you please share why? 11 to 11:20. Is that what time zone, Lila? Is that Pacific time, my time? So I can pull it up on the chart. Eastern. Okay, so Eastern, that's gonna be 11:20, 9, 9. Sorry, I'm trying to do the math in my head and my try to figure out. Okay, 8 o'clock. So eight to 8:20 every day. There's always a large buy. That's what you mentioned. What you mean? So let's see. I mean, there's well, the main reason for that usually is because it's lunchtime, right? So like, but let's just check yesterday's. So you mentioned over here. I mean, the main thing that I can tell you is that this is just it's lunchtime. So usually people try to get their trades in before lunch. Like they try to put in their positions, and it looks like right here, like that's what you mentioned, right? Between 8, or this is between 7:57, but basically between 8 and 8:20, there's a large push to the upside, right? This doesn't always happen though. A lot of times it's just flatter on this period. So the main reasoning behind that is really people are trying to get their orders in before lunchtime on the East Coast. Um, because then they just let them run because it's either they get their positions filled. If they don't get filled, then they just gotta let the position kind of play through. But yeah, looking at this right here, so see how it's kind of a dead period between 8. Usually it's a dead period, but then when people leave for lunch, they start to put like fill the orders in. It doesn't always hold, but people usually just put their orders in to get filled around that time. So that's the main thing that I can tell you from my understanding and from my experience. There's no specific reason behind it because you can see over here, going back to what you were just saying, Lila, it doesn't always happen, right? Sometimes people aren't filling orders. So like for example, right here from 8 to like 9, it's usually a dead period. On average, it's usually dead because people are already leaving for lunch. But for others, they're trying to fill their orders in around that time period. There's usually a window where orders are getting filled. So for example, right here, see this is between 7:30 and 8. This is where the order filling happened over here. So it's not always going to be 8 to 8:30. It's just you have to find that window where it's actually getting filled. Some people will call it accumulation or distribution. It just kind of depends on like what you want to call it, but that's just kind of how the market typically runs during certain periods. So again, right here, Lila, this is another example of it, nothing happening between 8, right? So 8 o'clock until 8:20, like you mentioned, no movement. The order filling happened right here between 7:30 to 8. So what you can do is you can bucket. So it's called time bucketing. That's what a lot of people or like hedge funds and stuff consider it or call it. They call it time, like it's a time bucket. You can chop up the times between 7:30 to 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock to 8:30, 8:30 to 9. And during those periods, there's going to be a filling period. Like there's going to be a time where orders are getting filled, whether it be to the buy side or whether it be to the sell side. But again, right here, see, this is what you were just talking about, Lila, from between 8 o'clock and 8:20. It's a time bucket, right? Between 8 o'clock to 8:30 is just a bunch of buying happening. Um, Selling happening right here. This is another time bucket between 6, 7:30 to 8, right? A bunch of selling is happening between this period. You just chop up the times into like time buckets of 30-minute intervals. and that'll give you an idea of like what's happening. So for example, right now we're at 8 o'clock, right? So the time bucket over here would be between 8 o'clock and 8:30. You can see right here that it's getting like orders are getting filled, prices pushing up, but you got to be paying attention like right when it happens. Same with this over here. Let's just check the time bucket over here between 7:30 and 8. See how it initially just comes down and then it comes right back up. The time buckets will usually push like the first 15 of like whatever time period that is. Again, right here will go between 7 and 7:30. See how price pushes up for the first 15 minutes. It's not necessarily just at 8. It's just the time buckets happen at the whole numbers, like 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, stuff like that. They're not always going to be getting filled around those times, but usually if you cut the time, cut them into buckets of 30 minutes or an hour, you'll usually see movements happen around those periods. All right, let me scroll over here real quick. Gotcha. Okay, so CJ, you only look at the 5 and the 10. You don't look at the 1 or the 3 minute or anything like that anymore. I guess I could do the same. I could probably create another spreadsheet with just those times too because they're useful. I mean, they're useful, right? So if they line up together, the intro will probably work out pretty well. Okay, well, it's good to know. So I'm going to put that in my notes. I'm always learning from you guys, right? So I know a lot of you guys here are learning from me, but I'm learning just as much from you guys. So thanks for you guys' input. This is why we keep getting better at this stuff because we're helping each other, right? That's a key thing here. If you guys understand, that's the whole concept of this. It's really we're working as a community, not just as an individual. Definitely helps. So identify. I'm gonna put ID. I'll go entries on 5 minute and 10 minute because it doesn't take that long. There's not as many candles to look at. So I could look. Yeah, CJ said he looks at the 3 minute for some of our other strats, but not the algo. It's going to be impossible for the 3 minute. I tried the 3 minute CJ, and you got to know what the 3 minute candle is for the close. It's too much work. I tried to do it. I was like, okay, three. What's 3 plus 3? 6, 9, 12. They're not at a line. So, like, if you wanted to do the 3 minute on the algo, you have to understand, or you'll get an error, right? So, yeah, I don't even do the three for the algo. It's too much for me. All right, CJ, we will see you back here on Monday. Have a great weekend. Let's see. iPhone has one last question. He said, can you explain the entry numbers again for MPS? And are you using a set profit target? So the entry numbers for the MPS, I'm going to use this as an example right here. So we have a buy signal right here, right? And see how this candle, and I'll just refresh to here. So we have a buy signal right here. We have a retracement. What you're going to do is you're going to put your limit order at the whole number. So for example, here, this candle closes at 49.4, and I'll put a line right there so you can see. It closes at 49.552, right? So your pending order would happen at the whole number, which is 50. If you want to use the levels indicator, you can use that. That's what I created it for this specifically. Um, Yeah, so you can see over here, if you turn on the levels indicator, it has lines at every 10, right? So for example, price pushes up, it retraces. Again, this is a price action type strategy. You're just looking for price to go to this area, and then you would fill right there. For TP stop loss, I mean, if you want to use the typical, it'd be 40-20. If you want to use 60-30, you can do that as well. It's just whatever you feel comfortable with, or you can base it off the ATR. It's at 25 right now. You can do 25-50. It's just really up to your preference. But yeah, so if you turn on the levels indicator, it'll have lines there already lined up for you. That's why I created that indicator for this specific tool. Um, so right there, price pushes down, it now fills the order. You're now in the position, and then it pushes up right there. That is an original MPS entry. It looks great here, but you want to be careful because, like I said, you're going to be entering this trade early without any confirmation. So in a lot of instances like this, price can just keep dipping and you'll get stopped out before it pushes up. But again, right here, so this would be an MPS V1. And this is what I was talking about earlier. MPS V1 right here is great. or just MPS. And then the MPS V2 would happen right here because it would close above it, right? So you have two options here. If you want to take both entries, you'll have two opportunities usually. It's an MPS V1, and if you get flopped out of that position, you can look for the MPS V2 right after. So you have two opportunities, and sometimes you'll win both of them, and you'll have a two for one basically. The MPS V1 will hit, and then the MPS V2 will also hit. The MPS V3 doesn't happen very often. I mean, it's not going to show up here very often, but yes, this is an MPS V1, MPS V2. And this happened after 8 o'clock. Yeah, let's see. Daniel said, I think the MPS wouldn't happen until 8:11 because, oh yeah, so you would actually have to wait for it to confirm. So it didn't really confirm until this point right here. Where it kind of depends on like how you want to apply, right? If you want to get in early, yes, ideally, like Daniel mentioned, you want to wait for the trend to confirm. But if you want to get in earlier, because I see people, kind of skip steps, I would have assumed that, I would have just gotten earlier, or someone would have gotten earlier from this point. But yeah, the original way, I would do what you were mentioning, Daniel. I would for sure look for the full confirmation. So once you have the full confirmation right there, then price here would kind of retrace back down. If you wanted to enter right here, there'd just be no entry because the session's right there, right? But in a situation like this, if you still wanted to enter, you still could have. This here would have pulled back at the 610. Your entry would happen at the 600 actually, which would be right here. Yeah. Yeah, iPhone said, got it. Looks like it might be better to set entry to the order block instead. I mean, yeah, you can set your entry wherever you want, right? You don't have to set it. I'm just explaining that's a strategy. So if you want to do it the way that, like I mentioned, you can swap out stuff, right? You don't have to enter at the whole number. You can enter at the pivots. You can enter at the order block. It's really up to you. You can mix and match. You can figure out what works best, wherever your edge works better. If you like trading at order blocks, that yes, then 100% that would make more sense. For me, I don't like doing the extra work, right? I think for me, it's like I'm just kind of lazy with trading in a sense, and I don't want to have too much strict criteria. So I just enter where I'm supposed to. But all right, guys, I think that's it. We're way past our session for today. It's 8:24. Unfortunately, I didn't have an entry for today. I was really hoping I'd get at least one to kind of get things going, but it is what it is. Not really too concerned with this. What I would like to play around with would be the chop bot though. So I might run the chop bot for a bit, just on my own account in the background. But yeah, guys, I think that's going to be it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. I might be around for a little bit, I might not. But if you guys do hit me up on Discord, I'll probably get back to you when I get a chance. But okay, guys, I think that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. Price is starting to chop up right here, so this is why I'm going to try to set up the chop bot. I'm just going to let it run in the background. I'm not actually going to be here sitting and watching it. I'm just going to let it run in the background as I step away for a bit and kind of just let it do its thing. But all right, guys, I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, have a great weekend, guys. I'll see you guys back here on Monday. Hopefully, next week will be a lot smoother, be a lot more consistent. I only took one trade for this week. It was unfortunately a loss. It was an MPS entry that lined up with the algo, but it is what it is. Those are the types of entries that just happen sometimes. But I'm going to stick to my game plan and I'm going to stick within the MPS realm and incorporate that with the algo entries. So, all right, guys, if you guys have any questions, hit me up. Otherwise,